I'm recording.
Can you hear me
Wait,
now?
forget
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Excuse me, my crayon is a monkey, which I find this conversation
Taking some interest in learning a bit more about technology, philosophy, and I like to.
I'm an educator.
Absolutely.
We're gonna stay anonymous.
That's a cop out.
The binary's gone. I thought jingle was plus Dutch for cheers.
Yeah.
So I think it's best we address it rather than avoid it. I think the reason. So we tried to record this episode one time before, and it fell apart. And I think there's a few good reasons why that happened. I think number one is it's big deal topic, whereas a lot of the other topics we've discussed so far are more academic. This is a global pandemic, which has a direct influence on many of our lives. I think number two, I approach that as I often do with I guess I'm going to play devil's advocate and troll here, so let's fight. But not only did I do that, but in the show notes I'd written, I'd sort of like written like for meringue section, but panic and worry for when it was his turn to speak, which was...
It was meant to trigger me, and you triggered me very successfully.
Yeah, exactly. I went to do it and succeeded. And so it was one of our less productive and constructive conversations. I think the other thing is, me personally, I've been so busy, mostly with jumping over borders in a fucking panic. So I flew to Europe for this ski trip my company had. And then on the way here, they announced it was probably being cancelled. And then the airline wasn't sure whether to fly us here, but eventually did. And one of our team were like, fuck this, and decided not to get on the plane. But we kind of had to go because we've just hired this guy and he flew to Slovakia. We've never met him. We hired him remotely. We flew him to Slovakia. And then I was like, it's not really good for us to fly him there and then we bail because it's dangerous. So we kind of had to go. And then we arrived and everyone was panicking about it. And I was like, just trying to ignore the noise. And because of that, I've spent the last week just trying to shut out while I'm getting like messages from my family panic, messages from my wife panicking, message from people I work with panicking. So I'm probably the most ignorant person on this topic whatsoever.
So it's finally starting to sink in a bit. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, lots changed in the last week. Hey, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, because I came into it very differently than you did. Right? Like, I've been watching the response of the West since January very actively, and I've been feeling the West has been completely unprepared, walking behind the facts. And so I'm not necessarily panicking, but I came in it very much with we could have done more to avoid this, and now the shit's hitting the fan. And that's why you're getting messages from your wife and your family.
Yeah, because Asia is overprepared,
Because
right? This happens every couple of years in Asia, right? Like,
well, literally, the government here in the Netherlands was asked during like one of these parliament meetings, like, why were we not prepared enough? Why is this happening to us in this degree? Because we chose the other day for herd immunity. They've already backtracked on it, just like the UK. But basically, and Merkel said this as well, that we can't stop it anymore. Mostly, the reason they say it is because it's spread too far across the world, and we're a globalized world. You would need to stop it in every country.
Yeah, like the attempts at shutting down borders now are laughable, because you're like, which country are you protecting yourself from at this point?
Like, it's everywhere. So even if you stop it in one country, it will come back. Our experts are saying China will get it back again, just because other countries will not respond the way China did. But our government said in response to like, why didn't we prepare better? Because we didn't have SARS before, and the other Asian countries had.
Yeah,
and
it's that substance of European exceptionalism.
Well,
yes,
there's an arrogance
in a way, but also a history of it, right? Like, so in Thailand, they were used to SARS and all the things. As soon as it started happening in December, everyone was wearing masks and the streets got quieter and people were self-isolating. It's like,
Right.
it's just the routine that they've
Right.
prepared for and had drills for. Whereas in Europe, you can see like the Brits are still partying in Spain. Like,
Yeah, but do you? I mean, so people should still, as I said, we're a global community, and we should still realize that. Oh yeah, these people who are used to it, they're doing this. Maybe we should be paying attention to what they're actually doing.
yeah, the problem is with these sorts of things, we have a Stone Age understanding of statistics, right? So I saw this meme go around, and I completely agreed with it. Name someone that knows someone that has it, and that is an entirely valid point, because when numbers, this is what happens with exponential growth, right? When numbers are low, you're like, dude, it's like what, 1,000 people in a world of 7 billion? That's nothing. But when the numbers double every day, like in the low end of things, it's nothing. It's 1, it's 2, it's 4, it's 8, it's 16. Anyone that sort of works in exponential growth, people in finance and software, looked at that and went, oh shit, yeah, no, shit's going to hit the fan real quick. Like, and sure enough, you get to however many million, right, in a month's time.
Well, yeah, it went up from say mid-February, about 70,000 cases worldwide, to 200,000 now today, roughly. So yeah, it's good times. It's the space of a month.
So my suspicion is that, I mean, it exploded in Europe, in Italy first, of course. Around end February, it started to get serious, right? But I think a lot of countries were already realizing that when Iran was showing symptoms that there were so many travelers going out of Iran that were infected, that were caught infected, that it had already gone endemic in Iran, like unstoppable. And when you have a huge country like this, where it's already out of control, and you're going to have other countries like that where it's out of control, how are you ever going to stop it in any other country? You can't. I mean,
I don't know, testing people, like early testing at the airports, just massive screening. This is what they were doing in South Korea.
So this is the end to a lot of globalization.
Well, it might be the end of the EU, considering how we're just clamping everything down at the moment.
I think it should be, because there's no unified response in the EU.
Yeah,
We're fighting over mouth masks.
yeah. I don't know if this is true or not, but it seems like Italy is getting more help from China and Cuba than they are from other European nations at the moment.
Wouldn't be the first time that these government systems are better rigged to help in times of crisis than neoliberal capitalism, which is just like, I don't know, is the free market going to take care of this?
I imagine, what if China ends up saving Europe? That's going to shift the world's balance.
Things are
What
already
if China
shifting.
saves the USA, right?
Do you know the expression, there are no atheists in a foxhole, right? Have you heard the expression, there are no libertarians in a pandemic?
Well,
Yeah, that's a smart one.
It's true, right? Like, who the fuck
Except for the
thinks
libertarians
right now that like, we should all be
preppers.
free and let the market take care of it, right? Like,
well,
But I'm sure that there's a lot of preppers in the US, libertarian preppers that are like, yes, finally the day has come,
yeah.
right?
I got my guns. I got my toilet
okay.
paper. I can weather this out. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the apocalypse. That's their solution. Is just everyone get a gun and an acre of land and shoot anyone that comes near. Okay, if we get there, then they'll be proven right. But I don't think enough of us will be around to pat them on the back.
Right. Well, this has been a bit of a disjointed intro to the episode, but because we're sort of
This is a perfect metaphor for how the news of the whole thing has been handled. It's just news coming at you from every fucking angle, like a bukkake party.
Right.
It's a mess.
So in that regard, right? I've been following this since half of January, mostly through Reddit, and you could follow it. You could follow it quite accurately, right? You could read every headline and read some articles, the most important articles that would appear every day. Since then, however, I feel like it's gone so fast you can't follow it anywhere anymore. And if I look at the news here in Holland, the TV, they hardly mention any other country anymore. They hardly mention what happens outside of the Netherlands because so much news is already to be talked about within the Netherlands. So I feel like you get this sort of fogging and closing down, and people will start looking a lot less further away.
It's
but
been
a
like
lot more immediate.
It's been like the shittest Olympics ever, isn't it? Just watching like points for different countries.
Oh yeah.
Look the ones
Here.
today
Everyone's a
being
loser.
scary.
Oh yeah, here in Scandinavia, I mean, all I'm doing is I'm just watching like, Norway still ahead of us, couple of hundred. Shit, we got a few more deaths than them, but
We could catch up in the finals.
no, it's
Our deaths are getting scary, and this is weird talking about it now because when we publish it, it's already going to be outdated. But like we're already above 50 with less cases than Germany. But Italy today is savage. It's 475 deaths. And just as a reference, because Chris, you mentioned this the first time we tried to record this podcast, but you tried to make a comparison to the amount of car accidents, right? So a bit of data. 483 people were killed within the Lombardy region in Italy by car accidents in 2018. 521 people were killed by corona in the last 2 days. Right, so that's a factor of 150 more than car accidents, which is already a very big non-natural killer.
But I don't think it should be seen as an existential threat to human life. I mean, yes, obviously people are dying, but it's the risk groups and so on. I think that the disruption is going to come in terms of the economy, in terms of just a massive breakdown of structures and I mean, I'm not talking about just the whole of the EU or the US and things, but I don't have a job anymore because we don't have any travelers. I haven't been to shop because I don't know what the shelves are going to look like.
Of course, but that's the result of it having a too high death rate. If the death rate was lower, we would let it go around like the flu.
Yeah, but
there's a point where you just accept it, and it's like, okay, this is just what it is.
But it's not going to wipe out mankind, but it's going to change a lot of how our societies are running.
So I think there's 3 things that you've just hit that we need to separate in order to have a constructive conversation here. Number 1, very sorry to hear you lost your job.
I'll get it back, but eventually.
Yeah, and you're luckier than most because you live in a country where there is a safety net,
right?
And so, sadly, all the Uber drivers, right? All the people in a gig economy, all the people in countries with less of a safety net are going to be a lot badly hurt by this. We'll get onto the economics of it
even
later.
people within my own company with less
that.
of a safety net are less lucky than I am because I was full-time employed, so I was covered by a whole bunch of things. But our part-time members of staff, they're all screwed.
I think we need to
safety
talk
nets
about
that are being created are massive, unprecedentedly massive.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
The West.
We should talk about the economic shift of it first, later, because not only does it change things, but also it's going to cause a lot of deaths too, which is, I think, what we should focus on right now. And this is where my Stone Age mind struggles. So, okay, you compared it to car crashes.
Right.
Fair enough. I think that's a valid comparison. There are a lot of people that die in poorer countries from different sources, and it's hard for me to put in perspective, right? Like, make a comparison. So, how many people die from different things? Like,
so
how concerned should we be?
Most common one is cardiovascular disease. Second most common one is cancer. So
okay, but
by far more majority of people die from illness rather than from a car accident. So
yes, but there is a diverse. There's a cutoff between countries with low income and countries with high income, right? Countries with high income, lots of heart attacks. Countries with low income, lots of lower respiratory diseases.
I'm not entirely sure what exactly the difference are, but I can just check that really quickly.
So, like,
but I think
half of the deaths in low-income countries are caused by these Group 1 conditions, which are like communicable diseases. Preventable deaths is the idea, right? Like childbirth complications, nutritional deficiencies.
Sure, that's all less in the West, yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the interesting disparity between the two groups. And what was concerning looking at this is like a lot of people that die in these countries, it's because of diseases already that are involved with making it harder to breathe, which lets you know that, and this is the key, right? And what Toby hit on is, what's the percentage? Well, it's complicated because most people don't die. You don't die of old age. There's no such thing.
No.
Right? You die of lung problems mostly, or AIDS, which you get pneumonia from, or whatever, right? It's often your lungs that give out first. So that's the cause listed. And so right now, officially, the statistics for coronavirus is 1 to 3%, but that's based on countries such as China, where they had enough hospital beds for everyone. So they could look after people and make sure that anyone that had it had all the oxygen they needed, right? As we've already seen in Italy, the rate's numbers higher for anyone that doesn't have enough hospital beds.
Well, you can just say in general, the numbers from China are not predictive for what's happening in Europe at all. Neither are the South Korean numbers. And I think a lot of models have, for very long, relied too much on China and South African numbers. Which China one, I'm very skeptical that they're 100% accurate, right?
Very few statistics that come from China.
And with Iran from the first day, I knew they weren't 100% accurate, right? And I don't really think you need proof to make that gut statement. But I think in general, it's very difficult to say right now what are any numbers, because it's a very slowly progressing illness. It has a long incubation period, and then it takes a while before you're hospitalized. And when you're hospitalized, you may be in ICU for 3 weeks before you die. Now, I think there's a lot of people that, on the very first wave are still in ICU, or maybe not even stabilizing, might still die. So it could go up, it could go down.
And so people are counting the mortality rate of something that...
Maybe the old age people die first, and we're still going to get young people that last longer on the ICU, and we still see them dying. We just don't know. I don't want to cause panic, but we really don't know.
Yes, on the lower end of that bracket, maybe loads of people have it and are symptomless. And so, if you look at the number of people tested versus mortality rate, maybe loads of people don't go and get tested. So actually the mortality rate is below 1%.
It could be.
Because of that data sampling error, right?
It could be. But the reasons countries are all mostly locking down is because there's a big variance between the two, and we really can't be sure which way it's going to go right now.
And even then, even if, for example, I got hit by corona, worst case scenario, it's going to be like having pneumonia, which I don't want to have. Pneumonia is absolutely horrible. And also I'd be at risk at infecting people around me. Like, for example, my father, who does have respiratory problems. I wouldn't be able to see him until we've developed a vaccine. Same.
No, well, see... If the death rate was truly low, guaranteed to be low in younger ages, you would do what the Dutch suggested to do, which is you put all the younger people intermingling, you separate them from the older generation for a little while, and you build up natural immunity rather than wait for a vaccine and stop life for 1.5 years. The reason why countries are not doing that is because we really don't know if young people... how much they're going to be affected by it. And it is pneumonia, but we don't know the long-term effects of this. There's been research this could have long-term permanent damage to the lungs.
So instead of a bunch of nerdy scientists studying a way to get a vaccine, what you instead do is make the equivalent of Love Island and just have a bunch of young people party and herd immunity will naturally develop. Is that the theory?
Correct. Yeah. Separate them from the old generations and let the young people just get minor sick. And then within, if you let them intermingle a lot, you get herd immunity much quicker.
Yeah, you're more likely to end up with a corona chlamydia hybrid, let's be honest.
But this is what governments are trying to figure out. It's on those two scales. It's on the scale of what is the death rate for the younger generation, true death rate. They don't know 100% sure. And then on the other scale, it's like how much do you lock down the economy and how much do you let the economy go? And between those two lines, they need to find the right cross.
Okay.
And that cross is moving as long as we find new data.
But I was led to believe that after you've been infected, you are going to remain a vector for that disease. I mean, it doesn't leave the system.
The WHO says 2 weeks to be sure after you lose your symptoms.
Okay.
But hasn't there been worrying cases of people that have come back with it again a second time?
So you have antibodies then. The thing with antibodies is they're not permanent, right? Antibodies, we don't know how long the antibodies will stick. The virus might mutate. You might get infected with a different strain of the same virus.
No, what I mean is that
this is what happens with the flu, right? The flu comes back in different strains. So we don't know yet.
Now, what I mean is that I could be infected, but then even if the symptoms are mild, in sort of 3 months' time, I might still be able to pass it on to other people because it'll be within my system.
So we don't know entirely how long it can be in your system. Yeah, the WHO says 2 weeks after symptoms, you should be not spreading the virus anymore. Do we have 100% accurate data on that? No, we don't have any accurate data on anything yet really regarding this disease, right?
No, but this fits in with the social isolationism policy that even if people just stay at home for 2 weeks, that'll help. And I think that's what a lot of the advice comes from the WHO. No, I know, but and this is why the WHO, in their wisdom and experience. So right now, Poland, Slovakia, where I'm stuck, have really, really listened to the WHO advice, made it solid, and everyone's listening. Like I can walk around the streets and they're empty. It's fucking Warsaw's a big city, and I can walk around it and there's no one. Everyone listens. But the reason why the WHO, and I was skeptical of testing because I'm like, well, just tell everyone to stay indoors, which I was doing. I can work from home happily. Lucky me. I'm very happy to stay inside, right? The WHO knows in their experience that you tell everyone to stay indoors, that works for about 2 weeks, and then everyone starts, first sunny day, right? Everyone's like, fuck this, and goes outside. Which is why they want proper testing. They want to tell the right people to stay indoors. Because if you just blanket tell everyone to stay indoors, that is only going to last for at most a month, and then people, they have to live, they have to work, they have to earn money, they have to do something. There's only so long you can hold the flood, right?
We'll see. I think some countries are considering very serious lockdowns, right? Like Italy, Spain, they're enforcing it. Holland doesn't want to enforce it, but you see quite a few people out.
Well, this is why China did well, right? Like in China, it's not up for debate, and this is why, as you guys have said, like the world is changing. All the rights that people are used to, all the privileges, they don't apply right now. It's like, no, guys, different rules. Stay the fuck indoors. You don't have a choice. This isn't optional.
I think it's...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, you go.
No, because I don't want to keep on going back to South Korea, but they are quite exemplary in how to have dealt with the problem. I mean, we're talking 8,000 cases, 80 deaths, which is relatively good statistics, and they didn't have any lockdowns. They didn't close the borders. What they focused on was to just monitor and track the people who got sick, and they went down with information and emphasized communication.
Right, but there's a difference here, right? This SARS thing we talked about. So it happened in China. The first thing South Korea did was buy a lot of mouth protection, buy a lot of tests, By the time it came to Europe and European countries tried to buy tests, they were all bought by the Asian.
Sorry, actually, why am I
countries.
laughing? That's horrible.
And the government here has just really just played this open, right? Like, yeah, we're trying to get it, but the Asian countries were a lot sooner, and you're dealing with global stock. And if you think about it, with mouth protection, right? If it goes global, we have 7 billion people living on this earth. You can only wear mouth protection once. If you go out, you come back in, you need to throw it away. You need 7 billion mouthpieces a day. If it's global, how are you ever going to produce that? You can't.
So
right?
I think that's kind of born of the skepticism of if something's not perfect, it's not worth doing. So having seen a few rounds of this in Asia, it is okay to use a mask imperfectly. Right? Like a lot of the skepticism towards masks I've seen have been like, oh, but here's an article which says if there's any user error, it's not worth doing. There's massive
I'm not saying there's any user error,
Sure.
but if you reuse a mask, you're touching the part that has the virus on there.
Just as you can wash your hands,
stop the chance of being affected.
Just as you can wash your hands, you can wash a mask.
Okay, but say you use the mask for every day for what, a month long? You need 7 billion masks a month.
Sure.
We still can't produce 7 billion masks a month. So the fact is, we can't supply the entire world with masks, but this is a global pandemic. Every country wants to have the masks, right?
No. Your point stands.
And then Holland is just, okay, one of 220 plus countries that wants to have masks, right? Wants to have tests. We can't get them. And so, and then there's another test you
toilet
need.
Paper.
There's another test you need, which we're trying to focus on as well, is the test for antibodies, right? Because if you can point out that people have the antibodies, have gone through it, those are the people you can put safely back out into society again. So this is something you want to be able to monitor as well. So there's a lot of things you need, right? And every country needs it. It's gonna put pressure on the logistical system, and we already have a logistical system under pressure.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people blame capitalism on this, and I'm not sure that's entirely fair. Like, I don't know what system would ever be capable of producing infinite rolls of toilet paper on demand.
Well, it's not. I mean, obviously there's a spike in demand for toilet paper and all the other things, but it's the problem is not really the production side; it's the distribution. If the distribution breaks down, that's when it's it's the logistics of it. We can probably produce infinite amount of toilet paper as long as we recycle, I suppose. But if all our truck drivers are staying at home because they can't drive anywhere, then it doesn't really matter.
Or if they're stuck at the borders, like trucks are literally right now stuck at the borders.
That's what's happening right now. There's a 16-hour wait to get from Poland to Germany because they've decided they want to check the temperature of everyone. What I heard today is that they're going to actually just iron wall the EU. And so there's, the EU dream, free travel within the EU, but not outside or inside of it.
Well,
not outside.
They've shut down all the travel within the EU as well now, haven't they?
Yeah, but they're about to open that out and be like, okay, we can't stop that, so let's keep the trucks a trucking.
Keep at least the logistical side of it running, right? Like, those are your frontline soldiers together with the medical staff. It's logistics and medicine and food production are the sectors that are essential.
This is the problem, and I think we should move on to the economy. So the problem is everything is so tightly wrapped up like a deck of cards that will inevitably fall. And so you can't have borders closed between countries, despite if one country in the EU had massive problems. It's not even an option because no one country can support itself with food or, the whole system is wrapped. And that's why the whole economy is about to collapse on a massive front because very few of the big companies that spring to mind don't need at least 3 continents to make and deliver what they bring to you, right? Like every piece of
So
electronics
in this regard, you're mostly talking about resources, to be honest, because
and their
the
distribution, as we
the end
said. Yeah.
prediction you could do in a lot of places, but we have a just-in-time economy with large
Yeah.
logistical hubs, and there's not a lot stored in warehouses because that costs a lot of money. Uh, Things have to arrive at their stage in time to be processed and moved to the next stage somewhere else in time. And when you have a jam in that system, which started in China, a lot of things fall apart.
It's a perfect metaphor for the entire economy and the best way I've heard it described is like the Amazon rainforest compared to, monoculture plants just grown, right? Like, okay,
Right.
a bunch of single plants grown in a field is the most efficient, maximum output thing ever. However, one disease, one fungi, one bacteria destroys the whole fucking thing. And that's it. We live in a system that's so efficient, it fails as soon as people start coughing, right? The whole thing falls apart.
But this counts not for every country, because China was smart enough to produce a lot of stuff in-house, has a lot of resources.
Yeah. Okay, so they're not going to starve to death, but they also would quite like to have a functioning economy, and it's all falling apart right now because they are the world's factories, and production has been halted.
Sure, but they've become a very rich country in a very short time. People are used to a lot more than we are in the West over there. And they have the chest to build it back up, and they have the means to build it back up. They're still going to supply the world. I'm more worried about other countries. I'm not even worried about the Netherlands because we're the second biggest food exporter in the world. So we got so much food, we won't starve over here. And every country can do that. We've been selling the technology to other countries to do this. It is possible to put more production inside of our borders, and I do think it is important as well that we start doing that more.
Of course, Sweden is going to beat all you guys because I think that we produce most of the toilet paper. So, yeah.
We're going to send our warships over to Sweden just to get the force.
I was hoping it will set up some sort of barter system, but yeah. Also, yeah, good luck. But the world was heading towards a recession anyway, 2020. I mean,
yes.
Like, this isn't just me being a Marxist and saying that, we were heading towards a recession, capitalism's failing. But statistically speaking, like the data is in the US economy was already slowing down prior to this. And the question is, of course, is the recession just going to happen as it was going to happen? Will this exacerbate the problem? Is the things just going to be so much worse now?
Well, so there's two things. Number one is we never recovered from the last recession, and we never even fixed any of the problems. Like the banks that caused the last recession, Goldman Sachs, for example, now run the US Treasury. So nothing got fixed.
What?
And instead, we've just been printing money.
Wait. If nothing got fixed, why do we pay them so many large bonuses?
Because that's what wasn't getting fixed, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The problem was that the guys at top weren't being paid enough to solve the problems. Then we paid them more money. The problems should have gone away. This is why I'm not an economist.
And if they're that good, surely they should be able to fix everything now with all their great minds.
Sorry, but you were actually about to make a really good point there. Sorry.
It's fine. So the whole thing was on life support. Entirely nothing got fixed. We've just been printing money ever since. And with the same flawed system that was, as I said, a house of cards that was just waiting for one thing to blow up in the whole thing's face. The current dip in the stock market isn't actually proof of a failed economy, because what that represents is imagine the stock market is a casino, and the numbers going down just mean that less bets are being made right now because the casino's on fire. Right? So as soon as the fire's put out, more bets will be made. That doesn't actually represent the economy.
Right.
Really, it's just rich dickheads that cause more problem than they benefit the world. Shoring up and hiding in their bunkers.
But isn't the fear that they will just make even more after this is over, right? Buy back in when it's hit the bottom, and then we'll write it back up again.
Yes, and some already have made money from shorting it, and will have made things worse. And absolutely, there will be another false rally as a bunch of those guys buy low. It's never been cheaper to buy Apple or Amazon stock. and some people will make a lot of money making that bet. But, like, if you look at it, even like Netflix share price has just gone down. Whereas obviously, there's never been more customers of Netflix, right? Like right now, more people than ever are buying these products. And that just shows how actual economic output isn't correlated with share price. The two have just become completely untethered. So,
well, sure, but don't forget that Netflix is now also suffering from a production issue. Right. The content that you're seeing now on Netflix was produced a year ago. So just wait until next year and we'll be media content dry because none of the movies are getting made. None of the TV series are getting made. All the production is halted.
Sure, but that's not why the share price went down, right? Like, all bets are off. And
even if Netflix has a lot of viewers, they're still going to suffer in parts.
Yes, and that leads on to the point. So the share price does not mean the economy, although we spend, well, not we, but the Financial Times and the Economist spend far too much time worrying how rich people's bets are faring, right? But the actual economy is getting destroyed right now. And there's people in Chinese factories who aren't being worked, who might get looked after by the state, but there's all sorts of gaps that people will fall in the meantime. And although I'm very lucky, I work in an industry where I was working from home every day anyway. None of it directly affects me. And right now, even my customers, are also the same. Like, if you work in software, we're the last people to get affected by this. But I've never known it so quiet. If you work for airlines, hospitality, restaurants, even they have a job that is registered with the government. They have a chance to get some, support. So many people, more than ever, are in a gig economy. If you're an Uber driver, I don't know who bails you out at this point. There's not going to be support coming from Uber for a bunch of out of work.
It really depends on the country you're living in.
So, well, most of the countries have rallied to support the big businesses, which have laid off all the people. Okay, going to help them anyway.
I've seen a lot of countries that haven't. Italy hasn't. The Netherlands hasn't. Netherlands is going to give money to self-employed people.
I signed a petition for universal basic income. Will it be enough? I thought that'd be brilliant right now, right? Like, more than ever, now's the argument for universal basic income. And I think we've hinted at this
Germany
before.
has it, but
now all the arguments for socialism make so much more sense than ever before.
Well, Marion, you were making a very good point earlier about how people are a little bit blind to what's happening outside their own countries. Because I know that Sweden's getting, we're bailing out our industries. And I think the UK is pumping a bunch of money in, as well as the US. But is this what all the countries in Europe are doing at the moment? They're just pouring money into to bail out all the industries,
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so that's like
this is Europe and this is the US and this is Canada. We're not talking yet about the Middle East. We're not talking about South America, Africa.
Oh, I mean, I'm assuming we're not even taking sanctions away from Iran, right? So we're not lifting any sanctions anywhere, are we? I mean, that'd be madness.
No. So the damage that's going to do there is, of course, going to be way huger than what it's doing here. But I think I've never seen this many war chests go open. The Dutch government literally said, we have 90 billion in the plus, and we'll use it all if we need to.
And by the way,
questions asked. We just put it all chips on the table.
Iran is currently begging for sanctions to be lifted as it's struggling to get medical supplies.
Yeah. Which, maybe we should listen to. I don't know. Although I'm not in charge of America yet, but someone should really listen to the Iranians because it's horrific over there.
And this is what the whole pandemic has realized for a lot of people, right? That we are all connected. We are only as strong as our weakest person. We're only as healthy as our sickest person. These ideas of herd mentality aren't just theoretical. Like, if our neighbor is sick, if we don't look after them, we are next.
No, but exactly. This is why
this isn't hippie shit. Like, this is like our survival depends on our ability to understand this. And right now, if some people are blasé about 3%, well, the next time it will be more. Like, this thing's only getting stronger.
Alternatively,
we don't even know if it's 3% yet. Like, Italy is a lot higher. We're still in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, alternatively, you could just call it the Chinese flu and then just stoke up a bunch of xenophobia. I mean, that's also
Well, that's what happened in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Well, and also I think there was, some idiots saying that, and then a lot of press inches went on how the coverage of the thing was racist. None of that conversation was particularly helpful, right? All the social justice warriors making sure that we didn't make fun of Chinese eating habits, like that took up a lot of column inches for about 2 months.
Actually, like the whole US media response to the whole thing it's depressingly. Oh, that's just depressing. It's they've managed to turn the whole issue into a partisan thing, which I think is ridiculous. Like, they're using it as a stick to beat Trump. I mean, quite rightfully, but it's like they're focusing on all the wrong things over there. They want to turn this into a political issue when really it's a humanitarian issue. And obviously, sort of social media is not exactly helping in that. It's just turning into a battlefield.
That's going to happen in many countries because it even minor ways happens here in the Netherlands. They're still trying to make political points in their debates right now.
Oh,
yeah. Every
rather than
country,
being united. And
I've noticed every country, the opposition is saying, "Oh, if we were in power, we would have closed schools down harder.
Right.
We would have given a better press release." You're like, I think we're all fucked. Like,
yeah. And you can't really blame them entirely in America because shit, you've got Trump at the helm. Would you really want to be in a global pandemic with Trump at the helm?
yeah.
It's the worst time for Americans to have.
no one looks to
happen.
America for healthcare leadership. Like, let's be honest.
Well, mate, listen, they've got on average more ICU beds per inhabitant than they have here in the Netherlands. So
Yeah, but what percentage can afford them?
that's
What
the big
percentage
thing
of
there.
people can afford to stay at home and not go to work, even when they're feeling a bit coffee and a bit fluey? Like, dude, they're fucked.
Well, this is actually a
No,
really
and-
weird thing. It's like there's a bunch of leftists sitting around just rubbing their knees with glee, hoping that America is going to succumb to some massive, apocalyptic, end of the world kind of scenario.
Well, it has made the argument for healthcare better than most. Better than Bernie could, bless him.
Oh yeah. It's a really weird. It's really weird that this is the moment he kind of got defeated. It's like the moment when he and his policies should be shining. It's like they're like, no, free healthcare. That sounds really crazy in a global pandemic.
America's busy fighting healthcare when they should be fighting for it. At the same point, I do think that what often happens with idealistic candidates like Bernie is that all of his ideas will be subsumed into mainstream, and they won't let him be the guy to put the idea forwards. But hopefully it will no longer be a controversial point that we shouldn't be hoping the free market insurance system will make sure everyone gets a coronavirus test for profit, right? Like,
Well, I've seen a lot
Okay, so-
of stories from sort of right-wing social media groups saying that, look at Italy. They got socialized healthcare. Look how good they're doing. We're doing so much better here in the US.
checkmate, libtards.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, Christ. Yeah.
Well, right now you can just record what anyone says, wait 2 weeks, put it online, and
Yeah.
it'll sound ridiculous.
Oh no,
Because
have you seen that?
literally,
So,
it changes so fast that what people say 2 weeks later is just. They did that with the Ministry of Health. They took all their tweets from the last month and a half, and just if you read back, it's laughable. It's like it starts like in January with like the chance that it comes to Holland is almost nothing. You're like, oh, and then it's like, we don't need to prepare. We're completely in control. No, there's only one case. We can contain it. And it's like just every tweet that you read is just something that wasn't true and didn't come out to be that way. And I think in a lot of cases you could just record someone 2 weeks later. It makes no sense anymore. It's changing fast. Not a lot of people looking ahead 2 weeks enough, I think. I fear.
That's depressing. That's exactly the same thing that happened in Sweden. So my wife, she was in Korea in February, and she was like telling me like, "Oh, are you guys worried yet? Like, what are you guys doing to prepare?" I'm like, "Well, I'm reading the paper here, and our health minister is saying that literally nothing to worry about." So, you know.
So I was stocking up in February already.
Yeah, you're clever.
I saw, and I didn't even stock up because I was like, oh, I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to go to the supermarket again and people will be dying out on the streets. I was actually stocking up knowing that people would go into panic mode once the mass starts realizing what is actually coming. And I saw just weeks ahead. I was looking at the toilet paper every single day, walking through the grocery store, being like, is this the day that I'm going to see it empty? No, is this the day? And I just waited it out for 3 weeks. And it's like, oh, it's the day. It's the day. I went one day.
We should have had this conversation.
I was like, it's the day.
We should have had this episode a month ago. And I could have purchased a bunch of stock in Purell and, I don't know, guns.
Did I miss something? Are one of the symptoms of coronavirus that you shit a lot? Like, when did this become about toilet paper? I don't understand.
Well, we talked about this last time, right? Toilet paper is just a relatable fear. Being without toilet paper is something everyone has experienced in their lives. And being without food is something very few people have experienced in their lives.
Also, didn't you see the Jonathan Pye episode? Basically, it's the fact that everyone's staying at home right now. There's nothing to do apart from, Pornhub. Hence the toilet paper.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway.
I was thinking about that wrong. No, I have heard a great story of refugees from the Middle East, and they're meeting each other in supermarkets on the right aisle while everyone else is raiding the shelves and punching each other over the wrong aisle. And yeah, just a bit of advice. If things turn south, guys, you want tinned, non-perishable goods that last for months. Like,
I mean, we're all...
not toilet paper.
No, actually,
well, you want everything.
I mean, here in Holland, you just want fresh produce because we have plenty of production of fresh produce. So really, you do not need the low nutritious stuff.
And all your truck drivers are still running. A really weird thing is that obviously paracetamol and ibuprofen, although don't take ibuprofen, but yeah, paracetamol gets sold out.
So don't take paracetamol either.
Okay, well.
Let your body handle disease.
Makes sense. But I was in the pharmacy last week, just going to go get some paracetamol, and the shelves are completely cleared out. Apart from the suppositories. Loads and loads of suppositories left. I'm thinking that, oh yeah, okay, so we're panicking, but we're not panicking that much. We're not going to put anything up our bums. I mean...
that's when the real panic...
It's not Mad Max. I don't think it's going to be Mad Max either.
No.
Oh shit, I've been dressing like Mad Max all week. I thought we were there already. I've been dressing in leather belts.
There's probably people
I've got a mohawk.
I'm sure
dude, every time this happens, I hope it's a zombie apocalypse, which I've over-prepared.
People have been prepared for that, right? That's always what I think when I see another zombie movie or zombie game. It's just like, oh, this is just getting people prepared, target practice for what's going to come. Some outbreak of something. But I don't think this is going to be it.
Sadly. Although, like
people are just going to be very bored.
The beginning was very similar to World War Z, if you guys read the book. Well, a little bit similar.
I did, yes. I've read most zombie survival books. I will give you guys some advice if this thing turns zombie. Okay, this is advice for free, right? And we'll end on a lighter note. Hopefully it becomes a zombie apocalypse. Number one, right? You want a second floor bedroom and you want to destroy your own stairwell. Right?
Yeah,
But then you can't get
logical.
out. Okay.
No, you have like a rope ladder or whatever,
Right.
right? But yeah, if you destroy your own stairwell, there's no way zombies are gonna get there, and then you're safe, right? You're welcome. Number two, right? Motorbike leathers. And I never see this in zombie movies, right? There's no way zombies would bite through motorbike leathers. If you were wearing proper motorbike clothes, you'd be safe.
You should play Days Gone on the PlayStation. Which is basically a motorbike zombie game.
I look forward
I
to it.
would recommend
I'll give it
Project Zomboid, where you can actually destroy the staircase and get a rope ladder. So yeah, Project Zomboid, great game.
And then you still get fucked by the zombie climbing on your roof. Because which kind of zombies we're talking about, right?
Oh no, Romero zombies, slow, shambling.
Oh yeah, 28 days later, zombies, you're fucked. Like, there's no argument there. You're done.
I mean,
if
real
they can run
zombies-
faster than you, you're dead. Yeah.
Real zombies are just people that were fed with the blowfish toxin that paralyzes you, were burnt alive, were dug up, and were given peyote in Haiti.
Guys,
It's all been documented by an anthropologist.
That's where it comes from.
guys, in the future, can we have an entire episode just dedicated to zombie survival strategies? Because I think that this is really something we need to do.
I'm not kidding you. So zombies used to be my trigger for lucid dreaming.
Oh.
So I am entirely too overprepared for this.
I've had okay, I'm not even joking. I've had recurring dreams about zombies for like 20 years, 30 years. It's really weird.
Yeah, me too.
Ah.
Oh my God, imagine if that's what combines us. That's why we do a podcast together.
I literally never think about this.
Oh, don't worry, Mariah.
I'll be the
I
first to
will
die
protect
as
you.
well because I have no survival strategies.
Yeah,
You guys
that's
are
why I
just
want you in
like-
my team. You're the first sacrifice. We will mourn your
Shit.
loss.
Well,
We will remember you fondly.
some movies the newbie survives, right? No matter what happens. It's usually the overprepared ones that die.
I mean,
It depends how innocent
Yeah.
you are. Do you think that you are an innocent? In which case, you should be able to survive.
Depends how you look at it.
I mean, you're paranoid and cautious,
definition
where
of
I'm quite
right?
complacent. So, I'd probably be out there being like, this talk about zombie apocalypse, it's just social media noise, right? Like,
Then,
and
rawr.
yeah, exactly. I'll get eaten. I'll be a terrifying fucking giant zombie.
Beautiful.
As good a point as any to end it, boys.
Any sort of inspiring quotes?
Yeah, we're doing the CZEC one or not?
I like it, man. I like it.
I think it's good.
He
We're
said
not
two
recording
things.
any intros, right? We're just gonna
Yeah, no, I think it's fucking right.
throw it in there.
In the apocalypse,
So
no
I
one
just want
has
to know,
names.
guys, how long do you think you're gonna be home quarantined for?
Oh, good. So this
1
is
month.
it. Like,
Social
I come
isolation. How
across
long?
as an arrogant, complacent dickhead who trolls everyone, right? But there's two things I don't fuck with. I don't post any conspiracy theory fake news on social media. I shut the fuck up. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I don't do any of that. Number two, despite what I might say to you guys in private, I think the WHO right now should be running a dictatorship, and whatever they say, I do. I really do.
I agree.
I got stuck in Slovakia because at the time it didn't seem to have hit that region of the world. And so I'm here. But as soon as I got told, stay the fucking doors, I have. And I just stay the fucking doors. I don't go outside. When I do, I go shopping with a mask on, right? Like I buy what I need to. I get the fuck home. I put the mask in the washing machine. I wash my hands. I have a shower, and yeah, keep as safe as I fucking can.
So
I
your
don't have a mask.
your WHO is actually my wife, or my wife is your WHO, and because of her, I am not leaving this room for next month.
Yeah,
She
same here.
she does not want to get coronavirus.
Yeah, same here.
Also, we got a baby, so you know.
Well, the blessing is I've heard it doesn't affect children, right? No.
Yeah, touch wood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been fairly well documented yet. Yeah.
Until mutations.
But I don't want to get it for sure. Like we have no idea of the permanent damage this is gonna cause. But
Well,
like
it's about
this is why I
flattening
asked, like,
the-
how long you think you're gonna have to stay in? Because if we really all want to
God.
avoid getting this, we're talking about a year
It's flattening
of
the curve,
extreme
right?
social
So-
distancing, a year long.
I mean, honestly, like I've been in a long distance relationship for years. I can play Dungeons and Dragons online. I
Yeah,
can work
but
remotely. I'm
This is
very
different,
happy.
no?
I'm very happy staying indoors as long as possible.
Really? Because you love drinking with your mates, right?
Yeah, which I think we should start having regular Skype calls and beers.
I'm just really sad that this is the week I decided to start going to the gym. Oh no, what a shame.
Oh mate, like you don't have to pay some fucker to run on a treadmill. You can run on the spot at home. You can do press
No,
ups.
I can't. I have to go to the gym, but Corona, can't do it.
Guys,
There's great YouTube videos that will motivate you and get you going.
that's my call to action here
Really?
is let's have Skype beers, okay? Let's make time for calls. Call people you haven't in a while. Stop reading fucking ticker tweet updates on the death rate in your country. Call your
It's just
friends,
gonna get
call your
worse.
loved
Stay
ones.
inside and have a good
Yeah,
time.
stay inside and talk to a friend.
Stay inside
Those are someone else's statistics.
And avoid social media, ironically enough.
Yeah.
Duck and cover.
Unless it is to call someone, right? But don't read posts.
No,
Stop reading
yeah,
posts.
Wash your hands, don't lick doorknobs.
Coming from an expert in door licking.
Good. We should have just let Marang end on the inspiring quotes. Take us home.
Right. Okay. So here's the quote from Zizek. But maybe another and much more beneficial ideological virus will spread and hopefully infect us. The virus of thinking about an alternative society, a society beyond the nation state, a society that actualizes itself in a form of global solidarity and cooperation. So let it be a chance for positive change.
Quarantined in Warsaw, I'm Chris.
Quarantine in Stockholm, I'm Toby.
And quarantined in Amsterdam, I'm Marijn.
And for our outro music today, we have a lovely song by the very talented Kit Zellerbach. Thanks, Kit. It'll be just fine.
Sitting on a rooftop, it's the middle of the night. I know everything will be alright. I know everything will be just fine. Sitting on a rooftop, just you and I. Together we'll learn to fly tonight. I feel the air on my skin. It's brushing me to start. But we're both broken hearts. Sitting on a rooftop, it's the middle of the night. I know you and me will be alright. I know we'll be just fine. Light up a cigarette, let it burn so bright. I feel it in my bones tonight. I feel it in my heart. Oh, and nobody knows what goes on with us. They just see empty eyes. But we know we are young, independent. You say when